load his slides while I introduce him. All right, Derek actually is a local boy. He grew up in Irving, Texas, and graduated from MacArthur High School. He was interested in science, and he worked at local Texas museums over the years, the Dallas Museum of Nature and Science and the Schuler Museum of Paleontology at SMU. While at the Dallas Museum, he worked in the fossil labs and assisted the Big Bend Alamosaurus project. While at the Schuler Museum, he worked on the Jones Ranch Paluxosaurus project. Derek earned a Bachelor of Science in Geology from UT Dallas in 2001, and later a Master of Science in Geology from UT Arlington in 2005, with a thesis on the Woodbine Formation in say that for me.
Where were you at?
Stratigraphy?
Stratigraphy. Yeah.
Stratigraphy, paleoecology, and paleobiogeography. In recent years, he has continued his graduate work at UTA with a PhD dissertation supervised by Christopher Scotese on dinosaur paleobiogeography and coastal paleoecology at the Arlington Archosaur site. I think you defended that in November, right?
Yes.
Right? Derek has taught courses on Earth systems, Earth history, and dinosaurs at UTA, physical geology at North Lake College, historical geology at Tarrant County College. Classroom work aside, he leads his students on monthly field trip excavations to the Arlington Archosaur site. He is a member of the Geological Society of America, the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology, and the Dallas and Texas Paleontological Societies. He is a strong supporter of educational programs that bridge the divide between scientists and the public, and the preservation of fossil sites that have scientific importance. So with that, I'd like to introduce the director of the Arlington Archosaur site, Derek Main.
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I'm all tangled. Ooh. Don't get that off. I got a little. We're almost there. Great, thank you. Okay, thank you for having me, and thank you for that introduction, Jamie. I apologize for being late. We had a really big dig event at the Archosaur site yesterday, so I'm kind of dragging today. I'm a bit wore out. But that being said, with all things, there's good and there's bad. When a speaker is late, that's bad. But when a speaker is late, the speaker feels guilty and he gives away free things, so that's good. So everyone gets a free Arlington Archosaur site dinosaur sticker. So I'm going to pass these around and help yourself and grab one of these. I've also got some free stuff up here. I apologize, I probably don't have enough for everyone, but I've got some of my Arlington Archosaur site field trip guides up here and some little flyers with information with my Arlington Archosaur site Facebook fan page, my web page, and my email address. So after you hear this talk, if you're interested and want to come out and help us dig or come to any future events, you can look us up online, contact me via email. Or if you just like paleontology and the Archosaur site, you can like the fan page on Facebook and watch what we're doing and keep track and live vicariously. Now that being said, this is not free, but it is the last of its kind. It's almost extinct. I just had some new 2013 Archosaur site shirts printed just this week, and we sold all but this one yesterday at our event, which was really fantastic. We sold these for $10 to help raise funds for the site. It's a size large. It's the last of its kind. Get it before they're gone. And I'll have this after. Is that okay to? Okay. I'll have this after my little talk if you even want to get an Archosaur site T-shirt. Huh? When are the next ones? The next ones are coming, hopefully next week. But yes, the process of life of evolution, extinction is ongoing. That one's extinct, and the next species will evolve by next week. Okay, so the talk I'm about to give you, I have to confess, I'm going to use you guys as guinea pigs. I'm giving my first TED Talk tomorrow at the, yay TED, at the TEDx UTA event, independently organized TED event. So it's my first TED Talk. Now, the TED Talk, I'm supposed to do it like in 10 minutes. TED, they like it. It's crazy. I'm not going to do it that fast-paced here, but you're going to see the same slides and essentially hear the same talk that's going to be online with TED as of next week. So here you go. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about the Arlington Archosaur site, this amazing place in Arlington where we have dinosaurs and crocodiles, archosaurs, the ruling reptiles of the Mesozoic. Now, when most people think of the city of Arlington, they don't think of dinosaurs and crocodiles. They think of Rangers baseball. They think of Six Flags and these massive roller coasters. Or they think of Dallas Cowboys football, but not dinosaurs. We do, in fact, have a world-class dinosaur dig right in the city of Arlington within sight of all these popular tourist attractions. Now, the Arlington Archosaur site is a very unassuming little hillside just due north by a few kilometers of Six Flags, the ballpark, and Cowboy Stadium, and it's really proven to be an amazing place. Now, the Arlington Archosaur site was discovered 10 years ago this year, so we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year, by these guys, Art and Olivia Salstein, and Phil Kirchhoff and his friend Bill Walker. Now, part of the point of this talk is that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Okay, Art and his daughter Olivia, just local residents that were hiking in a nearby field, found some fossils, thought, wow, this is interesting. Phil and Bill Kirchhoff, UT Arlington students that were taking a geology class that semester, took the information they learned in class, went out hiking around, found these outcrops of Cretaceous rocks near the campus, found some cool fossils, and brought them into UTA. Now, the reason it's called the Arlington Archosaur site, again, dinosaurs and crocodiles, Phil Kirchhoff, the first fossils he showed me when he brought these things into UTA were dinosaur bones in one hand and crocodile fossils in the other. And as soon as I saw these things, I thought, wow, we have Archosaurs in Arlington. And the name just kind of stuck, the Arlington Archosaur site. And it sounds kind of cool, it kind of rolls off the tongue, right? So dinosaurs, crocodiles, the city of Arlington, the Arlington Archosaur site. Now, when the site was first discovered, we did not have permission to excavate. The original landowner would not give us permission. In fact, the original landowner was talking to someone called Jerry Jones about building a cowboy stadium. I think some sort of rodeo, I don't know. But that landowner and that deal fell through. A new landowner came into play in '07 and gave us full permission to go out there and excavate and explore. And from '07, actually from '08 onwards, the Arlington Archosaur site has blossomed to become one of the largest scale excavations the state of Texas has ever seen. And I can say that honestly because we keep a record of everyone. We have people sign in when they come into the dig, so we know who's been there and how many people approximately. Average dig, 30 to 40, sometimes 50 people, average, coming to help us dig. Good size dig, 50, 60, 70, 80 people. Big dig, well over 100 people, okay, sometimes 150 or more. Okay, when 150 people come out to the site to help us dig, I don't know what to do because I don't have 150 shovels, okay? So it's really phenomenal. Now, part of the reason of the success of the site, besides the public fascination with dinosaurs and fossils, is the location, okay? The Arlington Archosaur site is one of these rare urban digs, okay, in the middle of this massive metropolitan area. Most dinosaur digs are removed from society, okay? You know, middle of Montana, Wyoming, Alaska, Africa, Antarctica, okay? China, not in the middle of a city, so it's very accessible. That, and I put up flyers all over the place and, you know, do public appearances. If you've ever gone to a local Starbucks, you've probably seen one of my flyers up somewhere. So I promote, you know, the dig emphatically and invite the public out. So it's really been quite phenomenal for that reason. So why do we have dinosaurs and crocodiles in the city of Arlington in the middle of the Metroplex? It's all about the geology, okay? Little known fact, almost all of the geology beneath our feet in North Texas dates back to the Cretaceous period, all right? But the rocks vary in age and in environment as we go east to west. The rocks beneath Dallas are marine. They're about 80 million years, and they consist mostly of marine chalks and shales. So you do not find dinosaurs here, but you do find shark's teeth, marine reptile fossils, shells, things like that date back to the Cretaceous. Move out westwards, the rocks are about 96 to 100 million years in age, belong to what's called the Woodbine Formation, and that's the ancient coastline of this interior sea that I'm about to show you. And we do find dinosaurs and crocodiles and turtles and all these amazing animals from this ancient coast. Go further out west to Fort Worth, the rocks are still Cretaceous, but they're slightly different and get slightly different animals. Now, if you're wondering what in the world a Cretaceous is, the age of dinosaurs, the Mesozoic era, consists of 3 time periods: the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous. Now, thanks to Michael Crichton and Steven Spielberg, everyone has heard of the Jurassic. But unfortunately, truth be known, there really weren't as many dinosaurs living in the Jurassic as in the Cretaceous. Okay, and in fact, most of the dinosaurs you see in the wonderful Jurassic Park movies, including the 3D version that's out now, have y'all gone to see the new 3D release? It's pretty cool. You should go see it. It's fun. most of those dinosaurs are not Jurassic animals. They're from the Cretaceous. T-Rex, okay, lived in the last few million years of the Cretaceous. Never lived in the Jurassic, did not exist in the Jurassic. Triceratops, same thing. Last few million years of the Cretaceous. The hadrosaurs, all those animals, they evolved in the last few million years of the Cretaceous, never lived in the Jurassic. So it's a bit of a popular misnomer, but I guess I did pretty good. Jurassic Park has a much nicer ring to it than Cretaceous Park. I don't think anyone would go see a movie called Cretaceous Park. So, again, the rocks beneath Thales are marine and Cretaceous that produce things like marine reptiles and squid shells and things like that. And then out in Arlington, we've got the Arlington Archosaur site with these coastal dinosaurs and crocodiles right in the middle of the city where you can find big bones. So why is this? Again, geologically, the Arlington Archosaur site, these sediments from the Woodbine Formation that date back nearly 100 million years, preserve ancient evidence of ancient swamps, these coastal mangroves, and these ancient coastal environments from 100 million years ago. So you can almost think of Arlington in North Texas as being something like a coastal peninsula. And when I say that, that sounds really strange, but it all has to do with the paleogeography. Okay, our world nearly 100 million years ago looked vastly different than what it does today. Okay, now paleogeography, again, or paleo, ancient geography, okay, ancient geography. This is a paleogeographic map from my mentor, Chris Cotes, one of the world's experts in Pangea and paleogeography. Who knows what Pangea is? Everyone's raising their hands, it's just like a classroom. Supercontinent. Okay, the last supercontinent, it broke up in the Jurassic. That's something that actually happened in the Jurassic. Over 150 million years ago, it split apart, and the continents have been moving into their current positions ever since. So Pangea has broken up. Obviously, North America has wandered off, to its, on its own. In fact, you can see North America is totally isolated. South America is not connected via Central America at this point. Africa is on the night side of the planet. You can just see the twinges of Greenland, Iceland, and Europe, over there. So they're still pretty close, but they're not attached. Now that being said, I'm actually going to throw this out to you guys. This is something I'm not going to do at TED, but this is more interactive. I want you to look at this map, and I want you to find two things that are different about this map. One thing that's missing, and one thing that's been added, and then I'll explain how this all fits together. First, what's missing. Ice, where? Anywhere. Oh, poo on you. You were at the tour. Those of you that were on my tour yesterday, keep quiet. I forgot that some of y'all might be here. Yeah. No questions. I'm just kidding. What? No, seriously, no questions. I'm kidding. What? No, really.
I'm curious to know if all of the land mass was on one side of the planet, how that affected the turning of the planet.
Gravitational wobbling. Yeah, I've heard people bring that sort of stuff up. I don't know. I've never really kept up with that. But there has been work done on how it stabilized the planet. But keep in mind, we all tend to focus on Pangea, which is Greek for all lands. The opposite of that is Panthalassa, Greek for all ocean, or universal ocean. So on one side of the world, you've got this massive supercontinent. The rest of the planet was a massive ocean basin. So it's not like there was nothing there. So it should have offset each other. But I have seen stuff in the literature talking about gravitational wobbling and other stuff. But I think basically they were okay. Good question. No more questions. I'm just kidding. Okay, so back to this little game of what's missing and what's been added. And if you were on the tour yesterday, be quiet. No fair. You have an advantage. What's missing? The ice. The ice. The ice from where in particular? The poles. Okay, the Cretaceous is what's referred to as a thermal maximum. At this particular point in the Cretaceous was the warmest point, one of the warmest points in Earth history. Okay, paleoclimatologists have modeled it as being something like 30 to 35 degrees warmer on global average. Okay, so imagine a nice spring day of 105. Nice toasty summer afternoon of 145. Okay, no ice caps anywhere, no ice on the planet. It's a greenhouse world, age of reptiles. That being said, what do you hear when you hear them talk about climate change or global warming in the news? What do they talk about? Raising temperatures, melting ice caps, and rising sea level. Okay, exactly. So then what's been added to this map? Water. Yes, a lot of water. So if you look, I can point with my finger. So the ice caps are totally missing. They've melted, and then look what's been added. Okay, this is what we call an interior seaway. When all this extra water ice melted and went into the ocean basins, and you can see how much smaller the Atlantic Ocean basin was at this time. Okay, Pangea had only been rifting apart for maybe 50 million years at this point, so the ocean basins were not as big. So all this extra water went up into the interior seaway, or into the interior of the continent, forming an interior seaway, shallow sea, maybe 100 meters depth, shallow. All right, that's why it's baby blue and not deep blue. So geologists refer to sea level change as used to sea. Okay, obviously we don't see that sea here anymore because it would go right through here, literally. So used to see. You used to see a sea, you don't see it no more. It's gone, baby. All right. So sea level changes frequently through Earth history. Now, what happened in the Cretaceous was natural, okay, and it was very, very long and slow. What's happening now is rapid, and it's very much not natural, but it's still used to see. So, yeah, she asked a lot of good questions. No more questions from you.
I was going to ask about the salinity of the water.
It varies. Salinity varies through time. Oxygen levels, CO2 levels vary through time. CO2 is very high at this point in time because of volcanism. Okay, because of the rifting of the continents and the breakup of Pangea, you have a lot more volcanism, a lot more CO2 going into the atmosphere. So the sea level change and climatic factors of this point in time are all linked. And in fact, they're always all linked. I mean, the Earth is a system. It's a uniform system. But these things do fluctuate. My specialty actually isn't paleoclimatology or paleoceanography. One of my classmates that's still working on her PhD with the same advisor, she is doing paleoceanography and paleoclimatology, and she's doing complex computer models that deal with varying salinity and O2, CO2 components, and then plug it into these mathematical models that do all kinds of weird things and play with the Earth. But that's not what I do.
Does that affect the fossils? Is there any fossil evidence that leads us to know things about the way the world was at that time?
Well, yeah, of course. Okay, maps like this are made several ways. You can do it by computer models, but mostly the primary data source for wonderful little images like this that look like art, it is based on science, but mostly based on rocks and fossils. Okay, there's two primary types of sedimentary rocks: carbonates and clastics. Clastics are things like sandstones, siltstones, and mudstones that are deposited by rivers, coastlines, lakes, terrestrial depositional mechanisms. Carbonates are only deposited under marine conditions, even shallow marine conditions. And then the fossils you find on land versus in water are vastly different. So maps like this can be generated by looking at where those types of rocks and where those types of fossils are through time and how it changes through time. That's exactly how that map was made. And you just connect the dots. Even if you have a gap in the record at various points, if you have the right rocks and fossils from, say, Texas to Kansas to, Colorado, the Dakotas, Alberta, you can just connect the dots and go all the way on up. Does that make sense? Okay, so at this point in time, because of the interior seaway, North America is divided into several regions. To the west, we have Laramidia. To the east, we have Appalachia, named for the Appalachian Mountains. And then to the south, Texas at this point in time was really nothing more than a coastal peninsula that in my dissertation I have named Rudradia, for Rudra, the Hindu god of storms, and that's a whole other story. So North Texas was right here, this little coastal peninsula jetting out into the shallow sea, much like Florida does today. So nearly 100 million years ago, North Texas, you could think of it as an analog, as Florida as an analog, this shallow, this peninsula jetting out into the shallow seaway with all these wonderful swampland critters living on this ancient coast that I call Rudradia. So let's talk a little bit about some of the dinosaurs and crocodiles, the Archosaurs of the Rudradian coast. What do we have at the Arlington Archosaur site? Dinosaur-wise, the most prominent animal is this guy. Okay, it's a hadrosauroid, which is a general term for animals such as iguanodonts that evolved into the hadrosaurs. And the one that we have is called protohadros, which means primitive hadrosaur. And protohadros is interesting because it's a missing link or transitional species showing the evolution of iguanodonts into hadrosaurs. So from a science perspective, it's very important for that reason alone. Now, what you see popping up here are the various fossils we've found. The most important thing about our site, in my opinion, is the fact that we have the most complete protohadros skeleton that's ever been found anywhere in the world. Okay, there's only 2 sites in the world that this animal has ever been found, and we've got one of those sites, and we have more bones than any other site. We've got part of the skull, the teeth, all the backbones, leading down to the tail. We've got the pelvis, the legs. We've even got the ribs. In fact, we have enough ribs to make any Texas barbecue joint happy, big ribs. We've got the humerus. We've got the complete scapula. We've almost got the entire animal, all right? So that's the scientific importance, but from a cultural, historical perspective, Protohadros is important because it's only found in Texas. It's only found here. Okay, some dinosaurs are found all over the place. Triceratops, very common animal. If you find a Triceratops horn, just kick it. No one cares. Okay, T-Rex is far more common than this animal. Okay, Protohadros, the fossils you're seeing on this image are the only ones in the world, anywhere. And if any one of these is lost, it's gone forever. Okay, these are the only ones in the world. SMU has the skull of this animal. We've got part of the skull and the rest of the body. That's it. Okay, there's only 2 places you can go to see this. They have a replica of the skull at the Fort Worth Museum, and now at the new downtown Perot Museum of Science, they also have a replica of the skull. That's it. There's nowhere else in the world you can see this, and I hope to get this thing replicated and have something, the whole entire animal put on display somewhere locally. So that's unique and important to Texas, and something we can all be proud of. So here's the first digital reconstruction of Protohadros. This is done by local medical illustrator Dave Kilpack. And in the digital environment, the thing moves around. You could probably get to dance to the They Might Be Giant song if you really wanted it to. And this is the first reconstruction of it that's ever been done. Okay, so dinosaurs, crocodiles, Archosaurs. We do have a lot of crocodiles at the Arlington Archosaur site. And in fact, I have evidence, or what I think is evidence, of them being the apex predator. So in the summer of '09, this young gentleman, Austin Motherall, came out to the site. Again, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The people that discovered the site, and then this guy that discovered a phenomenal animal at the site. In the summer of '09, young Austin Motherall came out to the site with his dad and a tractor. In fact, they came out the previous day, and they saw us digging with hand tools and shovels, and for some reason they felt sorry for us. And the father offered to come out with a tractor. He said he owned his own construction company and would be happy to come out and help us dig. Now, as a paleontologist, I panicked because, the reason we dig with hand tools is so that we can proceed carefully and with caution and not damage any fossils that are in the sediments. So the idea of a tractor gouging through the hillside to, look for fossils terrified me. I was like, oh my God, it'll destroy anything that's in there. So, but I didn't want to be rude to the man. I wanted to be diplomatic. So I said, that's great. I appreciate your offer. How about you come back tomorrow with your tractor? And you see over there away from the hillside where we park our cars, how about you come over there and scrape away from sediment, tomorrow? That'll be great. That'll really help us. We don't park our cars there anymore. Okay, they came back the next day, and within minutes of scooping sediment away from the surface, just beneath the surface, a few centimeters, they found dozens of croc bones. We do not park our cars there anymore, okay? And so here's young Austin on his dad's tractor. He's now the crocodile tractor prospector, and it's really, really neat. And I just talked to Austin the other day. In fact, he's graduating high school this semester, and I asked him what he wants to be when he grows up. And I was hoping he'd say something like, paleontologist, geologist. He wants to be a farmer. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that every time you get on a tractor, you're not going to discover giant prehistoric crocodiles. But Austin's discovery led to a 1-week marathon dig that I like to call Crocorama, because we dug every day for a week for 16 to 18 hours a day. And no matter how long we dug, we still found fossils. The more we dug, the more we discovered. It was amazing. Now, it was a marathon dig for 2 reasons. The primary reason was the fact that because we're in the middle of a city, we have no way to protect this thing. And it was such a phenomenal discovery, we wanted to get it out of the ground before we just left it there and risk someone coming in and scavenging the site. And also, the weatherman was predicting rain, severe storms at some point in that week, and we didn't want it to get destroyed. It never did rain, but oh well. So we dug every day, all day, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. But we needed help. And as I said at the beginning of this talk, I have a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page. At this point in time, I only had the Facebook group and had maybe 500 people on it. Now I have nearly 3,000. At the first day of the discovery, I sent out a Facebook message to everyone on the Archosaur site group saying, we have a major discovery, we have a major situation, we need help. We need food, we need gear, we need people to come out and dig, we need everything. And the public responded. It was amazing. People came out in droves to come out and help us dig. People brought us food. You can see the coolers there. People brought us food. A guy brought us watermelon and a knife to cut it with. Another guy brought us a case of beer. He was asked to come back. Another guy, we got a lot of beer, actually. We got a generator. We got lights so that we could dig at night. Another guy brought an RV. He brought his RV under the agreement that if he could bring the RV and stay and dig with us, we could also stay in it. And we're like, sure. So we had a base camp. It was phenomenal that the public came out and responded. So it worked out really well. So by the end of the week, we thought we had the entire croc excavated. We thought we were done. Years later, we're still finding this animal's bones. But we thought we had it all. So we had ourselves a little celebration. We were very happy and pleased with ourselves. We did a press release. Here's young Austin on the front page of the Dallas Morning News, still wearing that same orange Austin shirt from the very first day. Kid never went home and changed clothes. And I love the headlines on this. For soaring spirits, yet another trophy. We also made the front page of the Fort Worth Star. And this is Austin's hand, young Austin Motherwell's hand, uncovering the jaw of the croc there. This one I had everyone sign. Everyone from the Croc Dig Crew sign. And I made a copy of it. And a few weeks later, I had a party at my place and invited everyone over and thanked them for their hard work and gave everyone a framed copy of this. It was really, really phenomenal. So what did we find? The Crocorama dig resulted in the discovery of a new woodbine crocodiliform. Now, this word crocodiliform is a very specific word. What we found out there, and what we continue to find, aren't really crocodiles. Crocodiles didn't exist yet. Okay, crocodiliform literally means the form of a crocodile. Okay, this is an animal that preceded, the evolution of true crocodiles. This is an extinct prehistoric reptile. So what did we find? Here's the skull of the animal. This is a laser scan composite that you're seeing in the middle. Okay, when I say composite, in the years since Crocorama, we have found multiple individuals of varying growth stages. We have a lot of crocs out there. It's Croc Coast. And one of the things we're doing these days is we're laser scanning fossils, and then in the digital environment, using the right kind of software, we can expand them, scale them up, and then put them together digitally, so we don't have to take the actual fossils and break them and jostle them about. So this is a composite of multiple individuals in the middle, looking dorsally down on the top of the skull, and then all around the perimeter, you're seeing the actual fossils, the real fossils. So we do have these fossils, but they're from different individuals. But most of those are actually from the Crocorama croc. So we have a complete skull that we're able to reconstruct. We have the entire body, all of the vertebrae from the neck going down the length of the back to the tail. We have what's called the appendicular skeleton, the bones of the shoulder and the limb bones, and we have osteoderms, all these osteoderms from the back of the animal, all these armor plates. We have a complete pelvis, and what does this thing look like? So here for the first time, we're seeing this thing reconstructed. This is a digital reconstruction of the skull, flesh appearing on the bones, and bam, there you go. There's our Crocorama croc. Again, this is a reconstruction by medical illustrator Dave Kilpack. I'm naming this animal Deltasuchus motheralli, the mother of all Delta crocs, which is a cool name, but it's actually in honor of the kid that found it. Okay, again, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Austin's last name is Motherall. Okay, so it's in his honor, Deltasuchus, meaning the Delta crocodile, the motherall Delta crocodile. But what's funny is in the years since, we've been finding all these baby crocodiles, and it looks like it was a female croc. So it really is the mother of all Delta crocodiles. So it works out. Okay, so what did the mother of all Delta crocs do? She ate a lot of stuff. Again, it's a coastal swampland ecosystem, dinosaurs and crocodiles, but turtles as well. And unfortunately, most of the turtle fossils we have out there really didn't fare very well. It looks like we have really good evidence of our crocs eating these turtles via a series of broken turtle shells with bite marks, okay? Now what you're seeing appearing now are a series of yellow circles highlighting areas of turtle shell that are bitten, broken, punctured, and scraped, all right? Now, the idea of crocs eating turtles is not radical. I mean, look at the picture there. That's from a modern swamp. I think that's from the Florida Everglades of a gator swallowing a turtle down. So you can do the same Google search I did, Google search images for crocs eating turtles, and you'll find tons of images, okay? So we know they eat turtles. But what's interesting is that crocs have highly acidic stomachs, and what you see this guy doing here, gulping down the turtle, there would be nothing left of this thing once it's pooped out. There would be no broken, bitten turtle shells. So what it looks like is that our croc was not swallowing these broken, bitten shells. Okay, these broken, bitten shells are signs of crushing and killing, not swallowing and digesting. So what we think what was going on was something like this. Okay, we call this the nutcracker. Not as graceful. This nutcracker, it looks like our croc, Deltasuchus, was grabbing these poor turtles, biting onto them, crushing and killing, and then, or actually crushing, and then flipping it up longitudinally, and then pulling the nutcracker maneuver, bursting this thing's guts all over the place, and all the shell bits going all over the place. So this was a killing technique, and possibly a feeding technique, but not necessarily eating the thing whole. Now what's interesting is when we went back and looked at some of the turtle shells, there's also small little baby bite marks on it. So it looks like this was a killing, feeding mechanism where it was killing and eating some of it for itself, but was also possibly bursting this thing out nearby, its babies as a feeding mechanism for them. So she really was the mother of all Delta crocs. So as we all know, if you're going to eat something, eventually you're going to poop it out. We have a lot of coprolite at the Arlington Archosaur site. We have coprolites from all the different animals, in fact. Dinosaur, shark, fish, turtle, but most of the coprolites are from crocs, all right? Nearly all of them are from crocs. And you can identify them based on the shapes and the morphologies, and you can also figure out what these things are by cutting them open and looking inside. Why would anyone want to look inside of poo? To see what they ate. Okay, there's a lot of really good ecological information inside these things. And how do you think we identify a dinosaur poo? They're big. They're really, really big. And when you cut inside these things and look inside the dinosaur coprolite, there's plant fossils. Okay, and Protohadros was a duck-billed dinosaur, it was a herbivore, so you find plant fossils in it. Okay, now, what's interesting about these are the different morphologies and the different shapes. Should I do the sphincter twist story? Is that okay? Oh, okay, okay. So if you look, some of these, the technical term is scroll morphology, but the non-technical way of describing this is calling it the sphincter twist. It's not a dance. The sphincter twist, if you look at these, they're kind of twisty, curly-cuey. What's going on is they're spiraling out the animals are in. Twisty, bink! And you get the little sphincter twist pinch off the end as it pops out the rear. Any of y'all ever get an ice cream at a buffet, and you kind of twisty, bink? Okay, next time get chocolate. So, as we all know, coprolite, it happens. That'll be our next Archosaur site t-shirt. Yeah, coprolite, it happens. Okay, one side story to this, back to the coprolites. A few years ago, I had my only chance to date to speak to someone from National Geographic for an online story about the site. And it was my first time to talk to National Geographic, so I was all excited. It was a phone interview, and I was talking to this guy, and he just wanted some quick little descriptives of how would you describe the site. And I don't know why this popped into my mind, but I referred to the site as Pooh Hill because we have all these wonderful coprolites. I must have been working with the coprolites that day. Pooh Hill made it into the national media. Arlington Archosaur site discovered in North Texas, described by PhD student Derek Main as Pooh Hill. Oh, God. I saw that on the National Geographic webpage. I'm like, why? Why did he quote me on that? No. So National Geographic, Pooh Hill. There you go. Archosaurs and Pooh. Okay. Again, part of the important aspect of the Arlington Archosaur site is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. This man here, Roger Fry, has worked with me at the site for years. Roger is an avionics parts salesman by trade, but he loves paleontology and joined us right before the Crocorama dig. And during the Crocorama dig, he started mapping for us. And he established a mapping methodology for us. It's really quite accurate and wonderful. Because of his maps from Crocorama to the present, we know where every single fossil came from. Every fossil, every bone shard, every tooth, every fragment of shell, and every poo. Now, because of him, we know exactly where the Crocorama croc came from. We know where all the croc coprolites came from, all the bitten shell, all of the broken fragments, and all the shed croc teeth, okay? Because of that, I'm able to look into the literature and look for references of similar sites where we have large crocodile skeletons, croc coprolites, bitten remains of meals, and shed broken teeth. And when you look in the literature, going back over a century, working its way up to the present, you see these various references of croc feeding grounds, okay? And evidence of feeding grounds where you have prominent croc skeletons at a fossil site with shed teeth, croc coprolites, and random broken remains of various animals with bite marks in them, okay? They're meals. Now, one thing I didn't say earlier when I was talking about protohadros is even though we have the most complete protohadros skeleton in the world at our site, is our protohadros is not full grown. They're all subadults, and many of them are juvenile. So that also helps lend to this interpretation of the Arlington Archosaur site as being a feeding ground for crocs, because we do not have any adult protohadros. So it looks like crocs, the reason we have all these fossils at the site is because crocs were killing things in the area and potentially bringing them back to this one little spot and nibbling on them, okay? Because otherwise we'd expect to find a complete large full-grown protohadros out there, but our croc is about 8 meters in size, and a full-grown protohadros is 8 to 10 meters in size. Okay, so the croc wasn't bringing down animals of its equal size, but animals that were smaller. And we see that in the modern world, all right? So in fact, when you look at the modern record of croc feeding grounds, you find very similar things, from Australia to Africa, even to our own Florida Everglades. You see crocs working together to feed and bring animals down. I love this picture. It's kind of depressing, but if any of y'all ever played that game, Hungry, Hungry Hippo, when you're a kid, this is the opposite. This is Hungry, Hungry Croc, Dead, Dead Hippo. So that's the Arlington Archosaur site in its essence. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things at this site called the Arlington Archosaur site, where we have dinosaurs, crocodiles, evidence of crocodiles feeding on a variety of animals and dominating this ancient coastal coast that we call North Texas from 100 million years ago. Thank you.